This week, Sorare NBA announced some really big changes affecting anybody playing the free-to-play common competitions. They took away the common champion competitions, added limited tip-off and pickup games for commons. I think there's positives, negatives, and still yet a lot to be learned from this. I'll give you all of my thoughts in this video, and I'll also give you a tip that will help you edge out the competition and even get the highest dollar amount for your sales on the marketplace. When I took a poll on Twitter, I was shocked to find that of people polled, 72% of them were completely unaware of this strategy. All right, let's go. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Eric, and this is the weekly episode on Sorare NBA. We're going to zoom in full screen and get straight into the content today, but help me out by subscribing and hitting that like button. I really appreciate it. I'm going to give you all of my thoughts on the recent changes to Sorare throughout the video, so please feel free to comment down below. Let me know how you feel about them. You can also join us in the Discord. It's been a ton of fun. The link is down there in the description of the video along with my other socials. And the last thing before we get started, if you're a baseball fan, this upcoming Sunday is going to be the first video that I release for this season on Sorare MLB. Sundays will be the days that I put out content on Sorare MLB throughout the season. This first one, you're not going to want to miss. All right, let's zoom in. All right, here is the poll that I posted on Twitter as soon as that news came out. So I'll give you the reasoning why I posed this particular question here. I said, after yesterday's changes to common competitions, I think there's an important question. Why do you play in common contests on Sorare? 133 votes, which is pretty good on Twitter. If you're not following me there, follow Eric Anderberg. And most people, 75.9%, said to win limited cards rather than to have fun. Some people put other answers down there below. So the moral of the story is that most people play those common champion competitions so that they can win limited cards and then sell them on the marketplace. Remember, out of 100,000 participants, only 1,000 limited cards were being given. Let's take a look live into exactly what that prize breakdown is, because it is not a lot. Most of these cards, at least 750 through 1,000, are tier 5s, which are going for about $1 or not even sellable on the marketplace. So you really have to pump into the top 400 to get anything of real value here. Tier 4s might get you, like a $5 card or something like that, 400 through 750. But remember, getting to 400 out of 100,000 is absolutely insane. Really, really hard to do. Your odds are not great. So I think because of that, the fact that people are in this to win limited cards, I think there are some opportunities here and some ways to get more people involved with limited competitions where they're giving away a lot more limited cards. Remember, in the limited competitions, there's about 8,000 people playing and up to 2,400 limited cards being given away as prizes. So a little bit less competition there, having to score higher to get those cards anyways. Granted, it costs a little bit more money, and here is what the changes that they've made are. This article right here kind of explains it all. You can read it for yourself, but I will break it down. Really, beginners have the opportunity here. So if you haven't started on Sorare yet, you can build your strategy around this. There's a couple fancy things that you can do if you want to use 4 limited cards in the limited tip-off competition. But for the most part, I would say people who have limited cards, most of them have 5, which makes you ineligible to play in this limited competition, limited tip-off competition anyways, right? So you have to have less than 5 limited cards, and you must not have ever played in a limited contender competition, rare, super rare competition before. So that limits it. This really is just kind of bringing people to buying more limited cards, which I think could be a good thing for the overall health of the economy. I think I've expressed this before, but there's still some ways to earn cards for free, right? You get your limited card. You've won a limited card already. You can use that in the limited tip-off. You can even play all commons in the limited tip-off if you want. It says right here that no minimum of either scarcity is required. So that means you can use 5 commons in this MVP style format. If you have not started with Sorare already and you want to get started, you can use the link down in the description of the video. It'll get you 20 free common cards to get started. It also gets you a free limited card after your first 5 limited purchases. The best deal out there. It would help me out if you do that, or if you want to share that with your friends, that's great too. But let's go ahead and break down the competitions. I was waiting to record this video because I wanted to see exactly what the prize structure was. That was something very big for me before I put out my thoughts and my takes on this. And I still think that there's going to be a lot to come out in the future with these types of competitions. Just by looking at it, we see that the limited contender, the reward structure has not changed. 2,400 limited cards being given up for limited contender. Limited champion has not changed either. 1.1K limited cards, and the top 150 get limited champion cards. Same with these special competitions right here, limited veterans. You're assuming that they're still going to have special competitions in here. I know game week 38 and 39, there's going to be Eastern and Western Conference competitions. I believe those are in the rare and super rare tier. We'll see if they have them for commons also, but common veterans is also available this upcoming week. And that is just like the reward structure that's been in the special competitions before. If we take a look at that, this is the limited tip-off MVP. I actually don't have that available, but we'll come back to this in a second. We'll go deep dive into the limited tip-off if that pertains to you. But here's the common veterans. Like I said, they're the same as all the other special competitions. Top 15% get common cards. Top 3% get tier 1s. And then in the pickup game, the prize structure is like the common contender. So every single person who plays in a pickup game will earn a card each week. Look, 75 percentile to the very last place still gets a tier 5 reward. So you're still earning free cards every week. If you get in the top 10% in that, then you are getting a common tier 1, which is great to have in the collection for multiple reasons. Now, what you can't see on this board is that limited tip-off, which is for the beginners who have less than 5 limited cards, right? And I asked somebody to send this over to me. Shout out to the Discord. They got this information over to me so I can put together for this video. It's really interesting to take a look at, and I'll give my thoughts on it because the reward structure is something that you're going to want to take a look at. Limited cards will receive a 40% score bonus. So you can use 4 cards, get a 40% bonus. You can have your MVP be a common card and just get a 40% bonus on the rest of your score, less your MVP, which is huge. If you're in that position right now, if you only have 1 card or 2 cards, it may be a good idea to get a MVP in there and then have somebody that's kind of like a high scoring guy so that you can get that most out of that 40% score bonus. So guys in the 30 to 40 range is really what you're going to want to kind of take a look at there. Again, I do recommend that the MVP is going to be a big time scorer. Hopefully you have a tier 1 Giannis or Luka or Jokic or something like that you can throw into that spot. It's interesting to see what the prize structure is. So the top scorers are getting a limited tier 1, right? The top 3 people going to be really hard to get. 4 through 50, limited tier 2, 51 through 175, a limited tier 3. Remember, we already talked about this, but previously in the common champion, top 400 would get a limited tier 3. So it's going to be harder to score that tier 3, which is really where I think the value starts to come into place. Tier 4, tier 5s aren't nearly as desirable as something like maybe a tier 3, especially when you start hitting some guys with lower L10s that have potential to score high during a game week. That could really turn into some decent money on the marketplace. But the pro is that there's going to be a lot less people in these competitions because, like I said, I really find it hard to believe that a lot of people out there who have limited cards in their collection have not either played a limited competition before or have less than 5. So I think that's going to be a small handful of people. It's going to be mostly beginners. Hopefully it encourages some people to get into the limited games, which I think is the most fun to play on Sorare NBA. If you saw my video from last week, I completely am canceling my rare competition games for the rest of the season because my budget was not quite high enough to be super competitive in that round. And I think there's a lot of good value on the marketplace right now on the limited cards. Looks like we may even have some more opportunities going forward through the rest of the season, but we're going to want to be careful because the playoffs are coming up. So I expect those playoff contenders, a lot of people to start kind of gearing up for the playoffs and having some boosts come in the marketplace to some of those top MVP guys. Or even role players for that matter, guys in the 30 to 40 range, guys in the 20 range. Those guys are going to be really desirable too, especially on teams that are making deep playoff runs. Overall, I understand the frustration if you were a big fan of the common champion. I wish that they could bring back some more rewards so that you can get limited cards out of, say, for example, the pickup game. Hopefully that comes back in the future. I always thought it was a lot of fun that even though your chances were really low to get a limited card in that common champion, you still had a chance, and that you could use all the big time common cards that you have in your gallery to continue to try and get better and compete for those limited cards. But like I said, the poll just kind of showed it, right? Most people are in it to win limited cards anyways. And the best way to do that is to get into limited competitions. I think the limited tip off is a good way to transition people into those limited competitions. And I think especially now prices are starting to become more reasonable. In the off season, you might have opportunities to pick up some deals going into next season, and then really be competitive just in general on those limiteds, giving you a much higher chance to win those cards and get a return anyways. Remember, most of my wins have come from the limited champion, and a lot of the return that I've got has come from the top 150 on those limited champion competitions, able to sell those rares and then use them for other parts of my collection. I want to know what you think. Let me know down in the comments or join the Discord if you're cutting out from here. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Make sure you do that. I am back every Friday with Sorare NBA videos. If you're a baseball fan, that will be on Sundays. But for the rest of the video, I'm going to go back to that tweet that I had and give you a tip that I found 78% of people had no idea about. And it's a strategy where you train your players for experience points. And a lot of people weren't aware of the nuances to that and the strategy behind it, ways that you can really boost your player faster. Not only does it give you an edge in competitions, but when you're selling on the marketplace, like I have done on a couple of my cards recently, it's always best to have the highest percentage experience card. That puts you just a little bit ahead of those other people out there also trying to sell that card. If you have that higher experience, you can kind of command top dollar based on the floor price for that. So that's something that I kind of look into. All right, let's dive back in. There was a lot of good conversation on this one, but I think one thing that led to another post was this one from Georgie right here. You just need, he said the reason that he plays the common competitions is that because he needs tier 1 commons for training his limited cards. That's what he uses it for. He's not the only person that said that. Somebody else said that too. Tandy Man comes in, says, wait, what? Tier 1 commons to train limited cards? Please explain. I took that and I put it into a very short thread. Found out that about 78% of people did not know this, but it brought up a great question: how to optimize your Sorare XP training. So the formula for Sorare XP is something that's a detail that's kind of tucked into the rule book that a lot of people kind of overlook. It's the fine details, right? So if you know this, it does give you an upper hand when it comes to training the cards. Let's take a look at it here. Okay, so every card that you use in a tournament will win XP for that game week based on the following formula. They get 75 base points. They also get the total score of the team that the player card was used in multiplied by 0.125. For example, if you play Steph Curry and the team for that week scores 240 points, Steph will get 105 XP. 75 base and 30, which is 240 times 125. So what that means is the higher score that that person's team is on, the higher XP bonus that they get. XP points then, of course, go into different levels, right? So as you rack up XP, they become a level 1 card, a level 2 card, level 3 card, and that's where you get that experience percentage bonus. The more points they score, the higher percentage that they get. They can level up. They can get you that additional 0.5% each week when you score. So that's how that all works out. Take an example here. So let's take a look at the training that I did for this week. I did a specific example of it right here, right? So in this training team, I put Brook Lopez, a guy that's going to be playing in the NBA playoffs. I think the Bucks are going to make a deep run. I want to have this card in my gallery, set him in lineups, kind of have the strongest edge that I can possibly have. So what I did is I put him in there, and then I also put guys with big upside scoring potential: Bam Adebayo, Lauri Markkanen, a lot of tier 1 guys, Paul George, Jimmy Butler, tier 1, tier 2 guys. Hopefully they can put up a big score, therefore giving me more points for Brook Lopez. Hopefully that all makes sense to you guys. If it doesn't and you still have questions, feel free to reach out. Again, Discord is a great place to do that. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you, because when I took a quick poll down at the end of that thread, it says that 78.1% of people were not aware of this. 21.9% found out after a while. It wasn't too heavily polled, but still, I think it's a good sample size right there. So I'm assuming, maybe some of you out there didn't quite know this either. Again, let me know down in the comments, or feel free to reach out somehow. Just kind of let me know if you had known that already, or if you haven't, if this is something new to you. Hopefully it's something that you can put into place in future game weeks. And I also heard that in Sorare football, there's only 3 training teams allowed. So if you're playing Sorare football and are a veteran over on that side of things, it'll be interesting to see how training turns up in the next NBA season. All right, there you have it. Thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing to the channel. Make sure to join us in the Discord if you want to hang out throughout the week. The links are down below in the description of this video to find everything that we do here at NFTY Sports. Don't forget, Sunday, I'll be putting out my first Sorare MLB video of the season. That's one that you're not going to want to miss, especially if you are a baseball fan. Can't wait for baseball season to come around. I'll see you on the next Sorare NBA video next week. Can't wait to talk to you soon.